the Federal Skilled Worker Program, the program for those skilled workers who are working abroad. They have at least a bachelor's degree. They have been working internationally abroad in one of the NOC professions, one of the A, B, or O National Occupational Codes. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sajjad Malik. I'm a business and immigration lawyer, a barrister and solicitor in Ontario, Canada, and I'm speaking to you from my office in Oakville, Ontario. Today I'll talk about a little about the Federal Skilled Worker Program, and the program for those skilled workers who are working abroad. They have at least a bachelor's degree. They have been working internationally abroad in one of the NOC professions, one of the A, B, or O National Occupational Codes, and they wish to come to Canada, but their CRS scores is or may not be high enough, and that would trigger them to think of another way of coming to Canada or bumping up their score. First, I'll throw a little light on the federal skilled workers. These are those skilled professionals who have at least 1 year of work experience. They have at least a bachelor's level degree from Canadian standards, which is the education which is accredited through one of the Canadian educational credential assessment bodies, and they have high level of language proficiency. If they have a job offer, they may get extra points for that as well. So based on these factors, based on 6 factors: age, education, language proficiency, adaptability, experience, job offer, they may be able to start the process. And they may be able to start the process by first looking at the fact whether they meet the minimum eligibility score, and that minimum eligibility score is calculated as per system, and they must score at least 67 to even start the process. So if they meet the minimum eligibility criteria, then they are able to submit their expression of interest. The expression of interest remains, their profile remains in the pool for a year, and during that 1 year, if their score high enough, or if their score is high and they are picked up among the top candidates which government is picking up, then they may be able to get an invitation to apply, and once they submit their full-fledged application, then their PR application is processed. Now, so far, this is something which most of you might already know, those who have even thought about coming to Canada as skilled immigrant. But the challenge here is that the CRS scores have gone so high in the last draws. They were above 500 or so for almost 1.5 years. The draws were at a halt. The government was not doing any draws. Now they started the draws. There's a lot of backlog. The number of slots they have reduced as well, and now the initial draws, they are seeing very high scores of up of 500 point, like 530 and above 540 score. And in the near future, in the coming few months, we don't see a significant drop so the scores will remain quite competitive. Now you have to realistically think whether you would ever be able to make it to the CRS score, to the prevailing CRS score, whether your age allows you to wait that long, or whether it would give you some probability. So if it is like 5, 7, 10% probability and you want to maximize your opportunities, there are certain ways in which you may be able to come. Now, first way, if you have an active ER profile in the express entry system, you may look towards provinces which are having their provincial nominee programs for the skilled immigrants. Most of the provinces, they favor those people who have either studied in those provinces or who have a job offer in those provinces. They also favor people who have worked in the past in those provinces. There are a few programs in which they look at your job skills, your occupations. If your occupation is in demand in that particular province, even without securing a job offer or even without being in that province or studying in that province, you may have a chance, but it is comparatively slim because most of the programs favor those people who have either studied, work, or have a job offer from there. So one way is that you look towards the provincial nominee program for skilled immigrants and find your way in. Second, these are the people who are, say, in mid-40s. They are skilled workers. They've been working abroad, but at a particular age, they have kind of lost their score in the age factors, and they may not be able to score anything in that. So if you're not able to score anything related to your age, like you are out of 100 you have 0 score, or out of 110 with your spouse you have 0 score. This is such a huge gap or dent which you may not be able to recover through even a job offer, if it is not a general manager level job offer, because job offer would give you 50 points. And if your language proficiency, you meet the minimum language proficiency requirement of CLB 7, and you have tried and you have never been able to score CLB 9, then you should look at some options such as an entrepreneur program. A few entrepreneur programs, they favor those people who have owned businesses, but there's provision, or they are also open to those people who have managed businesses. So if you have managed business in a corporation as an employee, say you have performed functions of marketing, finance, business development, public relations, and some other functions, you may be eligible to come through an entrepreneur route. So if you are in a certain age bracket where you're not hopeful and you will never get any points for your age, it is worth looking at the entrepreneur options, and as a business manager you may come to Canada. One more option which is meant for those people, for younger people, relatively younger people, or say middle managers level people, or even some senior manager level people or directors, that is an entrepreneurial and they have the ability to establish an innovative business. That's a startup option. Based on the startup option, you can develop that innovative idea, the concept, and then we'll help you securing letter of support. And based on that, you could also come to Canada as a startup entrepreneur and develop your business, live in Canada during the processing of your applications. Now, sometimes there are candidates who are not a fit, or who are never able to fit into one category or the other. So I will just touch upon the humanitarian and compassionate applications. So Section 25 of Immigration and Refugee Act, IRPA, Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, it has a provision for those people who would otherwise not qualify for any reason, but they have certain compelling factors. There is hardship involved in their programs, in their circumstances. They are facing a lot of difficulty in their countries. They have some strong connection with Canada. There is best interest of child involved, whether they are in Canada or they're outside Canada. Their applications may also be reviewed under the humanitarian and compassionate grounds. Generally, those people who are inside Canada, they have a little higher chances of getting processed under the humanitarian and compassionate grounds, such as someone who came to Canada several years back, filed a refugee claim, couldn't get it, later on tried to immigrate through another category, couldn't get it, never got enough, so they were neither eligible for any spousal application nor under a skill program. They didn't have enough money to do entrepreneur program. There was no other class available, but over a period of time they kept living in Canada. They developed their ties here. They contributed to the system, to the economy in taxes, and by volunteering they got some Canadian children, and they had their best interest was also involved. If such people are sent out of Canada, they'll face undue hardship. So such applications such people may be able to submit their applications under the humanitarian and compassionate grounds. We have recently got an approval a couple of days back in which a Chinese national, a Chinese citizen national who came to Canada several years back and tried different programs and couldn't get in, remained illegal as well. But then he developed those kinds of roots in Canada, contributed in the Canadian culture, in the Canadian economy, and then fortunately we were able to secure him a positive decision on a humanitarian and compassionate grounds. So there are options available. Sometimes there are options which fit one person and there are options which fit another person. So exactly what will be the best fit for you would depend on when we have looked at your circumstances in the totality of circumstances, in whole context. When we look at your application, only then we are able to figure out some feasible ways for or pathways which may be available to you for coming to Canada. So if you are interested in letting me review your position, that you can contact us. Unfortunately, we cannot offer free consultations to so many different inquiries which we get, but if you provide some basic information to us, we'll have a look at your profile and suggest whether there may be a pathway available to you or not, and then it'll be up to you to decide whether you want to have a comprehensive consultation on your options. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll be happy to entertain any inquiries you may have or any consultation requests you could have you may have in the future or after this. So please, if you like the video, press the icon like button and send us an inquiry, and we look at your credentials, and we would be happy to assist you in securing a Canadian permanent or temporary residence status in Canada. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day ahead.